Hi folks, my name is Phil and welcome to Expo Aviation. Today's trip report is our flight from Manchester to the Greek Island of Skiathos with Jet2. We begin our journey once again at Manchester Airport's Terminal 1. Jet2 used the former Air Tours check-in area on the ground floor, and this is signposted as Departures B. Given the current situation with the pandemic, face masks must be worn at all times in the airport and there are lots of hand sanitizer dispensers available. Jet2 encourages checking in online, and upon entering the check-in area, a staff member checks our boarding passes and then moves us over to a machine to print our baggage tags. The machine was easy enough to use, and then we moved over to a check-in desk to drop our bags off. We were easily outnumbered 2 to 1 by staff down here. All were very friendly and helpful. Ironically, this was probably one of the easiest checking experiences I've ever had. I've done a separate video which looks at my experience inside the terminal building in more detail, so I don't want to dwell on it here. Security was very quick in under 5 minutes, and when we appeared on the other side we could see just how quiet things were, with almost all shops and food outlets closed. Again, that's all covered in the separate video, if you want to see what's open and what's not. Given that we didn't know what to expect, we'd checked in 3 hours before our flight, so we had a fair bit of time to kill, so we ended up having a beer in the only pub that was open and had to drink slowly. Our gate was called an hour before departure and we made our way towards it. Our flight would be departing from Pier C. I've lots of happy memories from here, be it my first ever flight when I went to Florida with Monarch in '93 or all of my annual Skiathos trips for the last 6 years. Our aircraft was at gate 24, which is on the other side of this corridor, so we had to go down some stairs, under the corridor and back up the other side. If you're unable to use the stairs, you can ask for assistance and they will escort you across the secure corridor. The reason it's secure is that it's for arriving passengers and fuss needs to be kept separate. Normally the gate area would be quite cosy as 22 and 24 share the same seating area, however we had a light load today and the bird on 22 wasn't going anywhere soon. The 757 is a fantastic aircraft. I loved working on those back in my flying days, and even when parked up she still looks like she's doing 500 miles an hour. Boarding began a couple of minutes late, around 1:30, and due to the situation we would have to scan our own boarding passes after lowering our face masks for passport verification, of course. Our aircraft today is G-JZBK, a Boeing 737-800 which was delivered new to Jet2 in March 2018, making this go just under 2.5 years old. This one was named Jet2 Madeira and is in the original Jet2 silver and red livery. The aircraft interior matches the outside with the seats being either red or silver grey. The seat area was very clean and the seat itself is quite comfortable with very good legroom. Some of the legroom is gained by a lack of a seat pocket though. Just as I was getting to my seat I saw mine and my fiance's bags being loaded and managed to get a quick shot of mine going on. The last one too, but at least I knew it was coming with us. Our flight had a fairly light load today due to a lot of cancellations or rescheduled holidays, so boarding was fairly quick with everyone on board in around 15 minutes. The choice of mood lighting is an interesting one. It's red. I know it's a company colour, but psychologists might suggest blue is calming. Anyway, we pushed back a couple of minutes later and we're on our way. As Jet2 doesn't have any in-flight entertainment, we would have a manual safety demonstration as we taxied out to the runway. As you can see, the parking stands are at a premium, with the airport packed full of grounded aircraft, some more grounded than others, with several Thomas Cook widebodies still parked up nearly 10 months after the airline's demise. Speaking of parked aircraft, as we line up on the runway you can see 5 TUI Airline 737 Maxes which have been parked up for well over a year now. Our departure runway was 23 right. We would be departing towards the southwest initially, then as we climb out making a long right turn to put us on course for Greece. We got a good view of Manchester Airport from up here. We can also see the former Woodford Aerodrome, and the eagle-eyed may spot an Avro Vulcan parked up below. The historic aerodrome, which once saw the construction of numerous aircraft such as the Lancaster, Shackleton, Vulcan, Nimrod and BAE 146, is being redeveloped into a housing estate. Once in the air, the service could begin. The cabin crew, just like us, were wearing face masks for the duration, but there didn't seem to be any communication issues due to the masks. There wasn't a bar menu at either mine or my partner's seat, so we had to hope for the best on this one. More on the literature in a moment. We were on row 9, and it did take quite a while for the crew to reach us as they were extremely busy, which is perfectly understandable given the lack of facilities at the airport. Since they were on offer, we got 2 beers each, 2 for £8.50, which was 50p more than Thomas Cook last year. It must be inflation. We did fancy something to eat, but unfortunately they had literally sold out of everything already. The beer was nice, though we were a bit short on space as the tray tables were tiny. A separate cup holder is located higher up the seat back, though this is designed for the plastic glasses handed out by the crew. It's too big for a can. Pretty much as soon as the drink service was complete, the crew came through and collected any empties. On the literature front there was very little here. There was of course a safety card and a shopping magazine, and that was it, not even a sit bag. To be fair to Jet2, on the return flight we had a full setup with an in-flight magazine and even a small holiday brochure, and I will show you those in the next video. As you can see, it wasn't just the cabin which was clean, as the outside was nice and shiny, so I could actually see our reflection in the engine inlet cowl. When we were coming in for landing, I had the unique opportunity to watch our nose gear extend thanks to this, though I couldn't get it on camera due to the angle. A little further into the flight, the cabin crew did a second drink service, so we had 1 more beer each, and I eventually had to nip to the loo. Now I didn't get any photos in here, however don't be surprised when you open the lavatory door and see a life-size image of a man skiing plastered on the wall. It's more of an advertisement for Jet2, and I suppose a creative use of space. Just like Jet2 Malaga, Jet2 Faro and Jet2 Wherever stickers on each of the overhead bins. They also have a small advertisement on the back of some seats too. It's all perfectly harmless, and again, a creative way of making you think about the company. Due to our light load, we were able to get up to 41,000 feet very early on in the flight, which meant we would be reaching Skiathos quite a bit earlier than scheduled. Before that though, I want to just mention that this was booked as part of a Jet2 Holidays package. This was the first year that Jet2 would be operating to Skiathos as an airline and tour operator. They were filling in the gap left by the demise of Thomas Cook, as they were a big player in the Greek islands, especially Skiathos. Our hotel was previously exclusive to Thomas Cook, and when Jet2 Holidays revealed their summer programme, our hotel wasn't on there at first as they took a bit longer in tying them down to a contract. As soon as it became available, I booked it. This was many months ago before anyone had even heard of this pandemic. Now, I'd already lost 2 holidays and a day trip already this year, and this holiday looked like it was in serious jeopardy. However, I did have hope. The Greek authorities announced that they would allow British tourists in from the 15th of July, and our flight was booked for the 19th, so I figured we should have been okay. A few weeks before we were due to travel, I'd heard through the grapevine that our hotel wasn't opening this season, so I contacted Jet2 Holidays via a form, and they said they'd be back in touch within 7 days. The 7 days came and went without reply, so I phoned them. Obviously, they were all very busy, so it took over 90 minutes to get through. The girl on the other end said she couldn't see the hotel, but there was no remarks on our booking to say there was a problem. She did offer to amend my booking free of charge, but that wasn't really an option for us. She did say that any problem bookings were being worked on in date order, and that in theory if there was a problem with mine they would phone me on the Friday, which was only 2 days away. Now some of you will know that I worked for several years as cabin crew, however I also did over a year on the ground at First Choice Holidays. One of my tasks there was to be the guy making the call to break the news of last minute changes to people, so I know why it's done, what can be done and how it's done, so I was still hopeful. On the Friday morning I received a text message from Jet2 Holidays advising me that my hotel was closed and my holiday was cancelled. It added that I needed to reply to a later text as to whether I wanted a cash refund or a credit note. I couldn't believe this. We were 9 days away from our holiday and it was being cancelled by text message. You see, our hotel was technically a 4-star and was the only one with Jet2 in our resort of Troolos. The obvious option for the company would be to either move us to a different hotel or move us to a different resort where there was suitable accommodation. While neither were particularly ideal, we just wanted to go to our favourite island, and I would have happily taken a tent if it meant we could go. I checked the Jet2 website and they were still advertising holidays, so I had to call them again. This time I was on hold for 2 hours before getting through. The chap on the end was very helpful and he managed to rebook us onto the flight and put us in a different hotel. He also rebooked it with the current flight prices, which had dropped considerably from when I'd booked it, as well as knocked a further £100 off for the inconvenience. Our holiday was back on. That shocking howler aside, I've only got good things to say about Jet2. I've never travelled with them before, so I didn't really know what to expect. Were they a low-cost airline, or were they a charter operator? A bit of both really, and I think it works nicely. The ground staff at the airport were all very friendly, especially considering the circumstances. The aircraft was very clean and tidy, the legroom was very good, and the seat, while not particularly well padded, was more than comfortable. The cabin crew were very good, and we had a few good PAs from the pilot. The only small gripe I have regarding the flight was the lack of seat pocket. If you're like me, you need one, so I found myself constantly reaching down and rummaging in my bag for bits when I needed them. It was hardly the end of the world, and despite their text message stunt, I honestly recommend travelling with Jet2 and will do myself again in the near future. Anyway, back to the flight. We began our descent as we passed Thessaloniki in northern Greece and would pass north of Skiathos on our way in. Normally I'd be able to get a beautiful shot of the island from here, however the evening sun stops my camera from focusing on it as it should. Our approach would see us fly over the neighbouring island of Skiathos before looping round and making a visual approach to runway 01. Normally I'd be sat on the left hand side where we will get a fantastic view of Skiathos town and the harbour, however due to the forced rebooking I had to settle for the right hand side. It's still a scenic approach and to be fair it's something different as all of my landing videos here are from the left. Our landing was comparable to that of landing on an aircraft carrier. I think the skipper may have been a Navy guy. The heavy braking was so that we could make the turn onto the ramp rather than have to backtrack the length of the runway. Clapping post-landing is very unusual nowadays, however it just seemed to be the collective release of everyone on board that we'd finally made it. We didn't get a water cannon salute this time, but we did get a welcoming party, as due to the virus we would have to walk to the terminal rather than use the bus. A good percentage of passengers were tested on arrival, myself included. Don't worry, it wasn't up the nose, just a swab at the back of my mouth, though to be honest, I didn't know that whilst I was in the queue and I was contemplating doing a runner. So that was my flight from Manchester to Skiathos with Jet2. I hope you enjoyed this trip report. I do have others to publish, including a round trip to Dublin with Aer Lingus, a flight from Atlanta with Virgin Atlantic, and of course my return flight with Jet2. If you're interested in the history of airlines of yesteryear, then you should check out my Grounded series, as I cover bankrupt airlines from around the world. I also do other aviation related videos. Skiathos is a favourite video location for me, as I can catch so many low landings, so check back to see those videos from this trip. And once again, thanks for watching.